Ben Bernanke back up on Capitol Hill. Ron Paul wondering why he or the Capitol even bothers. Because if the Texas congressman and former presidential candidate had things his way, there wouldn't even be a Federal Reserve, a point he underscored in sometimes testy exchanges with Bernanke today over its often secretive efforts to fix the country's financial system.
It seems to me that you're in the midst of massive inflation, but I guess you have a different definition. When you double the money supply, that's not inflation itself? Or are you looking at only prices?
May I respond?
Briefly.
Inflation is the change in the price of the consumer price level, which is that's very stable right now. And there are various measures of money, as you know, and the broad measures of money, the measures of money in circulation, like M1 and M2, are not growing quickly.
So, Congressman, he more or less said that your inflation concern was misplaced. What did you make of that?
Yeah, that's what he said. But when it comes, people will realize they should have been more concerned. Just like he was totally unconcerned about the crisis building. Remember the many years and months before the crisis hit, he reassured everybody that there were no problems. So I don't know why we should be reassured by him now saying, well, don't worry about inflation. But I was trying to make the point that the definitions are different. If you increase the supply of money, that is inflation. It causes harm even if you don't have your rising prices yet. But we do have rising prices in medical care. As your previous speech or talk you just had, there is a lot of inflation out there.
And you've been arguing that a lot of this federal printing of money that led by the Fed and all these rescues and bailouts where we're pulling money out of our you-know-what. I mean, that's going to be eventually inflationary. Now, to be fair to you, Congressman, you've been saying this long before even economists started picking up on this. What is your worry now? How pronounced is this threat? How soon is this threat?
Well, I don't think you can predict. That's one thing. Austrian economics teaches you that you can predict trends but not timing. And yet it will come because the money supply has been increased.
Well, he says he's going to be ready for that, Congressman, and that the Fed is right at the ready when it happens. But you argue once you see it, it's too late to address it. Right?
Yeah, he also said that he will never monetize the debt. Well, he has no choice. If he doesn't monetize the debt, interest rates are going to skyrocket, and that he doesn't want, and the financial markets don't want that. So he would be fired rather quickly by the president if he lived up to saying, I'm not going to monetize any debt.
Well, by the way, do you think he is going to be reappointed by the president?
Probably, but I don't worry too much about that because I don't blame him for creating the tremendous mess. He's not doing much to help us, but he didn't create the huge bubble. But putting another manager in, it's who you're asking about who should be the central economic planner through monetary policy. And I don't think there's anybody in the world smart enough to do it because the system is deeply flawed. So whether he's reappointed or not doesn't matter. But my guess is he probably will get reappointed.
Let me ask you, Congressman, we have seen, certainly in the markets and in some of the economic numbers, and certainly in most of the corporate earnings we've been getting thus far for the second quarter, some surprisingly good news. In fact, a number of companies saying that they see light at the end of the proverbial tunnel. Things are looking up. I don't know all these people buying Apple products, but they must be millionaires because the company's on fire. So my point is the economy or the markets or these companies telling us something that your concern notwithstanding, things are looking up?
Well, I guess temporarily they could. They're looking up at Goldman Sachs, that's for sure. But if you look at the unemployment rate, and I mentioned this today, that if you look at the private statistics and add up all those people who have given up looking for a job, the number's closer to 20%. They're not feeling very good about what's happening.
So you're not buying this. Bottom line, you're not buying this. So if you're right, I'm not jumping to your false conclusions that you might be making here, but slowdown with inflation is stagflation. Do you see that where we're heading?
Yeah, that's what we're going to have. And as far as the economy is concerned, I think most people now are starting to recognize that the correction hasn't really taken place, especially now they're talking about the commercial properties. Nobody's denying that there's some problems out there. So if there's a little blip in the economy after doubling the money supply and bailing out everybody, and they come up with a few favorable statistics, if that makes everybody feel good, fine. But I wish it were better than I think it is.
All right. Congressman, it's always good seeing you. Be well.
Thank you.